Folks, I'm Matt Diablo from KFOG, and again, please let's give one more round of applause to Courtney Barnett for taking time, especially waking up and making it here for sound check and everything after bringing down the house at August Hall last night. Did you feel good about that? Did you feel good about the San Francisco audience?
Yeah.
Did they show you the appropriate amount of affection and appreciation?
They really did.
That's
yeah.
good. Before I get into my pre-prepared questions, I wanted to ask you, are you a fan of the band Pavement?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And here's why I ask, is because, you know, some of your stuff reminds me of like a modern version of it, but your lyrics are much more linear. You're not just talking about nonsense, right? I love Pavement all day, but I mean, it's pretty inscrutable, right?
I kind of discovered them backwards though, because I didn't grow up listening to them, but then a couple of years ago Stephen Malcolm has put out like maybe the first Jix album, and Jen, my partner, was going to see the show, and I just was a bit unaware of the whole situation, and so I kind of discovered from her being a fan, and then I loved those Jix albums, and then I went back and I was like, oh, I kind of know that Pavement. It was, you know, when songs are just in the back of your head and you think you don't know them, but you do. So now I'm a massive fan.
That's exactly right, though. That's, you know, when you were playing Nameless Faceless, it's like, okay, I know the melody. I could tell right when you started, you know, jamming on it before you even started singing. It's like, okay, this is the song that it's going to be. And the difference between that and a Pavement song is you're not, you know, singing about Geddy Lee or anything sort of random or, you know, speaking in metaphors. It's actually very plain spoken.
Yeah.
It's my take on it. Is that accurate?
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's not get too heavy
I feel
here.
like with Stephen Malcolm, it's just, I don't feel like it's nonsense. I feel like it's something really clever that I don't quite understand.
Could be. And I certainly am not equipped to understand it either. You know, you just actually hit on something that I want to talk about. So your partner, Jen, she's also a artist in her own right.
Yeah.
You want to give her a shout out?
Yeah.
And talk about that, and also what the dynamic is between two artists that are both like critically beloved and
So much ego.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Jen, she just made her 4th album, and so she's been making music for much longer than I have, and I saw her play years before we even knew each other, and now, she's kind of had a couple of different bands, but now I play guitar in her band on the last 2 albums, and Bones, who plays bass in my band, he plays for Jen as well, and she's a great songwriter. Check her out, Jen Clower.
Yeah, but do you guys collaborate on actual songwriting, or do you go to separate sides of the house to do these things? I mean, I'm so curious when you have two working artists that are both putting out a tremendous amount of amazing art. Like, how much of it is collaborative, and how much of it is just, you know, you do your thing, I'll do yours. You do the dishes, I'll take out the garbage.
Technically we've written one song together, and that's kind of at the moment where it lies, but then, you know, playing on her last 2 albums it's a different kind of collaboration, I guess, just to kind of serve her songs and her album. But we intend to. It's one of those things where, you know, get around to. We always talk about writing songs, but there's always a million other things.
It's hard to work with
happening.
Your partner. Like, I mean, the people who actually work together, own businesses together, you know, that are partners. It's difficult. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you have a new album, which is called Tell Me How You Really Feel.
Uh-huh.
And my question is, normally I try to stay away from those. Go to, what's the meaning of the album and the song? But I mean, is Tell Me How You Really Feel, is that an earnest statement or a sarcastic statement?
Well, it's whatever.
Fair enough.
It really is. I think it depends on the day. I think that it's leaning definitely towards the earnest for me, but I mean, I think it doesn't matter whoever picks it up. I think your first reaction is going to say a lot about you, or where you're at.
So I'm a cynic.
Was yours sarcastic?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like so many people have told me that in the past when I've had, like, you know, emotional outbursts. Like, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah. I think it's quite adaptable. it changes. But it's probably the more, I mean, the album is kind of more earnest, I guess.
And this is, and I don't know if this is observed globally rather, but here in the United States, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I've got a series of like very confessional spots running on KFOG right now about my own challenges with depression, anxiety, whatever. You have songs on this album that are very plain spoken in regards to that. I don't aim to ask you to bare your soul here outside of the context of a song, but is that important to you at all? Just sort of being very plain spoken about anxiety and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's not like a it's not a kind of really strong intention, but I think it's part of the process, and it's part of the kind of everyday, so it always has, and it probably always will in some way kind of weave into songs in a roundabout way, whether it's kind of completely direct or not. But
yeah, well, I appreciate the sentiment. However I'm interpreting it. It may not be the correct interpretation, but I appreciate what it's done for me, and I guess that's what art does, right?
Yeah, it's always the correct interpretation.
Yeah, it's whatever your truth is. So I have to ask this, and this is a little bit inside baseball, but I want to involve everyone here in the room. So you made a record with Kurt Vile.
Yes.
Another KFOG, friend of KFOG, right? And the record, you want to tell us about that record real quick, just so people can go back to it? It was the record you released prior to this one.
Yeah, I can't remember when we released it, but we toured in October-ish last year, and yeah, it was we kind of intended to make one song, and it was kind of on two trips that Kurt came to Australia when he was doing his shows. So one summer we recorded a bunch, and then the next summer, so it was very spread out. But it was a really fun project, because it was, I think because it was so random and unplanned, and we booked the studio for 2 or 3 days and kind of called up friends and said, we need a drummer, can you come and play this song? It goes like this, go.
Did you realize you were making a super group, like Modern Traveling Wilburys or something like that? Did you recognize that at the time, or was it just...
No, it was just
I share
fun.
the sentiment with this, but yeah.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was just whoever was around and who was into it, and I mean, we just fantastic musicians. Like I heard a song the other day. Jim White's playing drums, and Mick Turner. I mean, it was Stella plays drums on some, and it's so It's so much fun.
It was just such an interesting collaboration. You guys have, compatible musical sensibilities, but he's sort of nervous and weird in the same way that I am, if you can imagine that. And so that, with you being relatively sort of even-keeled and super chill, imagining that. But the best thing about it is Kurt Vile, has accomplished a lot as a musician, but he has a brother. And his brother is known as Jello Man. Can you tell us about Jello Man? Can you explain the lifestyle that is Jello Man? Because I talk about it on the radio, and I feel like people don't understand it.
Yeah, I had actually heard about Jello Man maybe before I even knew Kurt, before I was friends with Kurt, we got to meet him on the tour, and he's a lovely guy. He's a lot of fun. He's a really nice guy.
What is his thing, just for the uninitiated?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but he makes like Jello shots. Is that And he's like, he just likes people to have fun, so he has Jello shots, and I don't know what's in them.
Kurt Vile's brother travels around to concerts all over the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, and he at festivals and concerts, and he distributes Jello shots out of a van. Right?
Yeah, that you said it well.
It's worth looking up. He's a good dude. If you ever run into him in a parking lot, just know he's not crazy. You can ingest the Jello shot and he also sells bootleg merch. That's another thing that he does, which I love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get any sea lice bootleg merch, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, I've taken up enough of your time. We are so grateful that you're here with us here at KFOG, Courtney, and we are grateful for the new album as well. Of course, it's called...
Tell me how you really feel.
Okay, so I wanted you to say it, because I would be like, tell me how you really feel. In any case, show last night was incredible. I hope that San Francisco has shown you the appropriate amount of hospitality. And we're going to let you play a few more songs, and let's all give Ms. Courtney Barnett one more round of appreciation for playing for us today here in the lounge of KFOG. Thank you.
Thank you.